On a stormy, rainy night, the small village of Raven's Hollow was shrouded in darkness. The narrow cobblestone streets were deserted, and the only sound that cut through the howling wind was the rhythmic drumming of raindrops against the village windows. The flickering street lamps cast eerie shadows on the wet pavement, creating an atmosphere ripe for ghostly tales. In a cozy, centuries-old inn at the edge of town, a group of villagers gathered around a crackling fireplace, seeking refuge from the tempest outside. The innkeeper, an elderly man with a long, white beard, sensed an opportunity to regale his guests with a chilling tale. "Settle in, my friends," he began, his voice barely audible over the storm outside. "Tonight, I shall share with you the legend of the Phantom Piper." Legend had it that Raven's Hollow was cursed by the ghost of a mysterious piper who roamed the streets on stormy nights. As the story goes, long ago, a talented musician named Cedric played his haunting melodies for the villagers, bringing joy and merriment to Raven's Hollow. However, when tragedy struck and the village faced a devastating famine, the townsfolk turned on Cedric, blaming him for their misfortune. In a fit of despair, Cedric vowed to play one final, sorrowful tune to lift the curse that had befallen the village. As he stood in the center of the town square, surrounded by angry faces, he played a haunting melody that echoed through the night. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning illuminated the square, and when the villagers looked again, Cedric was gone. Since that fateful night, every time a storm swept through Raven's Hollow, the ethereal notes of Cedric's mournful tune could be heard, carried by the wind. The legend spoke of a ghostly figure, the Phantom Piper, who wandered the rainy streets, playing his sorrowful melody to remind the villagers of their betrayal. As the innkeeper spoke, the wind outside intensified, rattling the windows and sending a shiver down the spines of the huddled listeners. Suddenly, a distant, mournful melody seemed to drift through the air, as if carried by the very wind itself. The villagers exchanged nervous glances, their imaginations running wild with the possibility that the Phantom Piper was near. Just as the tension reached its peak, the inn door creaked open, revealing a shadowy figure drenched in rain. The room fell silent as the figure stepped forward, revealing a tattered cloak and a weathered face. It was an old man, a stranger to the village, carrying a worn-out bagpipes. Without uttering a word, the old man began to play a haunting melody that sent shivers down the spines of the villagers. The innkeeper and his guests watched in awe as the mysterious piper moved with an otherworldly grace, his music echoing the sorrow of ages past. As the last notes faded away, the storm outside began to subside, and the rain transformed into a gentle drizzle. The old man, his bagpipes now silent, turned and walked back into the night, disappearing into the mist. The villagers sat in stunned silence, unsure if they had witnessed a mere traveler or the legendary Phantom Piper himself. The innkeeper, however, smiled knowingly and whispered, "Some say the curse can only be lifted when the village learns to appreciate the beauty in sorrow. Perhaps tonight, we have taken the first step." And with that, the villagers retired to their rooms, haunted by the echoes of the Phantom Piper's melody and the mysterious stranger who appeared on that stormy, rainy night. Story 2. Once upon a time, on a cold and rainy night, a group of friends gathered around a crackling fireplace in an old cabin nestled deep within the woods. The rain pounded against the windows, creating an eerie symphony that seemed to echo the haunting tales they had heard about the nearby abandoned mansion. As the friends exchanged stories, the atmosphere grew tense. The topic naturally shifted to the mansion, and one friend, Jake, couldn't resist sharing a story he had heard from the locals. Legend had it that a ghostly pianist haunted the mansion, playing a haunting melody on stormy nights. Intrigued by the tale, the friends decided to venture out into the rain to explore the mansion for themselves. Armed with flashlights and bravery, they approached the dilapidated structure, its broken windows and creaking doors revealing the passage of time. Once inside, the friends felt an inexplicable chill in the air. The sound of rain echoed through the empty halls as they cautiously made their way to the grand ballroom. To their surprise, a grand piano stood in the center, seemingly untouched by time. Suddenly, the room fell silent, and a cold breeze swept through. The friends exchanged nervous glances as a soft, haunting melody emanated from the piano keys. The ghostly pianist had begun to play. Mesmerized yet terrified, the friends listened to the melancholic tune that seemed to echo through the mansion. The flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the walls, creating a surreal atmosphere. As the music intensified, the friends realized that the ghostly pianist wasn't alone. A spectral figure dressed in tattered clothes materialized, swaying to the haunting melody. In a panic, the friends attempted to flee, but the mansion seemed to have a grip on them. The doors slammed shut, and the windows rattled as the ghostly figure approached, reaching out with ethereal hands. The haunting melody became more intense, wrapping around the friends like a sinister embrace. Just as fear threatened to consume them, the friends remembered a local legend about appeasing the ghostly spirits. In a desperate attempt, they began to sing along with the haunting melody, their voices trembling with fear. To their surprise, the ghostly figure began to sway in time with their song. As the friends sang, the atmosphere shifted. The mansion seemed to absorb their fear, and the haunting melody transformed into a bittersweet lullaby. The ghostly figure smiled and faded away, leaving the friends in stunned silence. The doors swung open, and the rain outside had subsided. The friends cautiously left the mansion, the once haunting melody now a distant echo. As they looked back, the grand piano stood silent, and the mansion appeared as if it had slept for centuries. The friends returned to the cabin, their hearts still pounding from the eerie encounter. They realized that the ghostly pianist sought solace in their shared song, and the haunting melody had become a bridge between the living and the afterlife. From that night on, whenever the rain fell, the friends would hear the distant notes of the haunting melody, a reminder of the spectral encounter that had forever changed them. Story 3. Once upon a time, on a chilly and rainy night, a group of friends gathered around a crackling fireplace in a centuries-old cabin nestled deep in the heart of a dense, fog-covered forest. The only source of light was the flickering flames and the occasional lightning that illuminated the surroundings. As the rain tapped rhythmically on the cabin's windows, Mark, the storyteller of the group, suggested they share ghost stories to pass the time. Everyone eagerly agreed, and the atmosphere grew tense with anticipation. Mark began his tale with a legend that had been passed down through generations in the nearby village. It was said that on nights like this, when rain poured from the heavens and the wind whispered through the trees, the ghost of a long-lost musician would emerge. The story unfolded in the 18th century, when a talented violinist named Elias found solace in the forest to compose his hauntingly beautiful melodies. The villagers were captivated by his music, but Elias was tragically accused of practicing dark arts and was banished from the community. Heartbroken, Elias disappeared into the forest, vowing to continue playing his violin for eternity. Legend had it that on stormy nights, his ghostly figure could be seen wandering through the trees, playing the sorrowful tune that echoed through the ages. As Mark spun the tale, the rain intensified, and the wind howled outside, adding an eerie ambiance to the cabin. The friends exchanged nervous glances, half believing the legend. Suddenly, a faint melody drifted through the air, like the echo of a distant memory. The friends sat frozen, listening to the haunting notes of a violin. Panic spread through the room as they realized the music was coming from inside the cabin. The friends huddled together, fear etched on their faces, as the ethereal music grew louder. The atmosphere was thick with tension as the ghostly tune filled the air, accompanied by the relentless rain and the occasional crash of thunder. As the friends gathered the courage to investigate, they discovered an old, dusty violin in a corner of the cabin. It seemed to play by itself, as if guided by an unseen hand. The friends exchanged nervous glances, realizing that they were witnessing the legend come to life. Desperation set in as they tried to escape the cabin, but the door creaked shut, trapping them inside. The haunting melody reached its crescendo, and the ghostly figure of Elias materialized before them. His spectral eyes stared through the group, conveying both sorrow and longing. In a haunting whisper, Elias spoke of his unjust banishment and the eternal solitude he endured. The friends, paralyzed by fear, listened as he pleaded for a chance at redemption. Moved by the ghostly musician's tale, the group decided to help Elias find peace. With trepidation, they followed his guidance to the heart of the forest, where an ancient, forgotten violin lay beneath an old oak tree. The friends placed the instrument in Elias' ethereal hands, and as he played a final, melancholic tune, the storm began to subside. Elias' spirit dissolved into the mist, and the friends found themselves back in the cabin, the violin silent and the rain reduced to a gentle patter. The atmosphere shifted from fear to relief as the friends realized they had played a part in bringing closure to a centuries-old tale. As dawn broke, the friends left the cabin, forever carrying the memory of the haunting melody that echoed through that rainy night, connecting the living and the ghostly realm in a bittersweet harmony.